Hi everybody, it's Chari here, and today I'm going to be making a bookmark watercoloring with the Our Friendship Grows set and using the, well actually I won't be using the matching dies. I guess I just flipped that over to show you that they exist. So I've cut a piece of watercolor paper here, and it is 2 inches by 7 inches I believe, and I'm going to be doing my coloring with distress markers and water. So the first thing I want to do is to stamp out my images, and I'm going to be using the VersaFine ink, and I'm going to be using clear embossing powder to emboss my images with the black ink. I don't think that you have to emboss them. I've never actually tried, but as long as you use an ink that is water resistant, like an archival ink or something, you probably don't have to emboss, and you can skip that step to do this project. But I kind of like the shiny embossing, and I feel better about it not smearing, so that is what I'm going to do. So I've just inked up the stamp there with the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and it's an oil-based sticky ink, and this is how I do my black embossing. I just put clear embossing powder right over top of it. So then when the clear is melted, you see the black through. This is the best results I've had for black embossing powder. So I'm just going to speed it up here, and I'm just going to stamp out the different size flowers and fill it up. You can see where I'm kind of figuring out where I want them. I wanted to start with that big one in the middle that shows a whole lot of the flower, and that way I don't end up with just a lot of pieces. I at least have almost one whole flower in there. And then up top and at the bottom I end up with some more portions of flowers rather than the whole flower. And then I'm just going to go in and fill in some of the little holes, some of the more bigger openings with the heart stamp, and I'm going to add some clear embossing to those as well. I had the little high stamp in there, but I decided against it. I decided I just wanted it to be images on this. So I'm using my heat tool to melt that clear embossing powder and create that black embossing. Now for my coloring, well, I'm going to start with the petals of the flowers, and I'm using the Scattered Straw Distress Marker, and I'm just going to give a quick wash of color over each of the petals. I'm going to fill it in completely all the way to the edges. So I'm just going to color in all the petals with the yellow first before I go in with the spice marmalade and add in the orange. So I'm just adding this color to the center, pulling out from the center of the flower, those petals, just the inside portion of the petals. And it doesn't look very pretty right now. It looks kind of awful. So don't be discouraged, because it's going to look really nice once you add the water to it. So I've got a cup of water here, and I'm using a water brush, but I wanted to use a cup of water to pick up the water. You can use just a regular brush as well. You can use a water brush and squeeze it, but I feel like I have more control with the water in the cup. So I'm getting my brush wet, and I'm starting at the center, and I'm getting that spice marmalade color wet with the water, and I'm just pulling it out towards the edge. So I wanted to start at that dark color and then pull it out. And you do want to make sure that you do the whole petal and not just kind of pull that color halfway, because you'll see the line where you stopped your water. So you want to make sure you get that whole petal wet. And you can see how it starts to blend and smooth out, and it looks way better than it did when it was just colored. So now I'm going to color the center of the flowers, and I'm going to start with the tea dye marker here, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the petals. I'm going to cover the whole thing in that color. kind of color it in. I'm going to go ahead and do them all, and then I'm going to go in with the vintage photo and just kind of do the bottom portion of the flower. And then I'll blend it with the water brush again. So now I'm going to use the worn lipstick marker and just color in those little hearts. And then I'll go in with the barn door and add a little darker to it and blend those with the water as well. Using a little Perfect Pearls mist will add some shine to those little hearts. Now I have tumbled glass as the lighter color and broken china as the darker color to do my background. I'll just cover everything in the tumbled glass first, and then I'll do broken china around the edges of the flower. Because that blue area was such a large area, I'm just going to do a light spray with just my mister, just to make sure all those colors blend together, and then I'll dry it quickly with my heat tool. So to add a little shine, you could use the Perfect Pearls mist like I did on the hearts. You can see it shimmer right there. Or another thing you can do is this Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen that I have. I'm kind of obsessed with it lately, but it just adds the tiniest bit of glitter to your images. So I'm just brushing it along the edges of those flower petals, and you can kind of see the shimmer it gives there. It's a nice subtle touch. Now to make the tassel, I've punched a hole in the top of this bookmark, and I'm just going to cut a length of twine that's double, so makes the length that I want. And then I have this piece of just scrap cardstock here that's folded in the middle, and I keep it to make bookmark tassels just like this. So you wrap your twine around it as many times as you want, depending on how full you want that tassel to be. And then what you're going to do is take that piece that you cut, that's going to be the length of the tassel there, and I'm just stringing it through, and it kind of came apart. You could actually tape this to the cardstock with some washi, and it would probably help it stay in place because the twine kind of has a mind of its own. But I'm going to thread that piece through. That's why you want that piece of cardstock that's folded, so it's easy to thread through. And then I'm going to tie a knot and tie it off around those pieces. Tie it nice and tight. And I'm going to double it up. And you can either slide your scissors in there and cut the tassel, or I just slid it off the piece of cardstock, and then I can put my scissors right in that loop and pull it tight and just trim them all off. And then I'm going to trim them off to make sure they're the same length here in a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is take a little length of twine that's long enough for me to tie, and I'm going to tie it around that tassel, just a little ways down from the knot at the top. You'll see it kind of moves around on me, but once I get the knot started, you can kind of slide the tassel back into it if it gets away from you like it did me. And then what I did after I tightened it up is I actually took that little piece and I wrapped it around the tassel and then tied it in a knot again on the back side. So it's kind of around it more than once, and there's more than one knot holding it in place. So you can see I'm just going to wrap it around tightly, snugly around that tassel and tie it again. So it makes that piece a little thicker too, which is nice. So, and then those two tails that are left over, I'm going to pull them down with the rest of the tassel here in a minute. I didn't do it right here. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But I'm trimming them off so that they're all the same length. Nice and level there. And then I'm actually going to pull those tails down and do the same thing so that they become part of the tassel. I'm going to tie it again. How many times I tied this thing. Did not want it to go anywhere. Well, the last tie kind of helps those tails sort of go down, I think, is why I did that. So now they become part of the tassel below. You just kind of have to mess with it. The nice thing about the lawn trimmings twine is it has some heft to it, so it kind of, you can move it and form it a little bit. So you can push those down there. So then what I'm going to do is just tie a knot at the end. And then I'm going to thread that knot through my bookmark and then thread the tassel back through itself. And it'll put the knot, if you thread it from the back side through, it'll put the knot at the back right down against the top of that bookmark. I have yet to figure out the best way to make that knot not exist there. I need to figure out a way to hide it in the tassel would be ideal, but I haven't figured it out yet. So anyway, here's the bookmark, and thanks for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye.